Hi, everybody. Brad Truex here from Eastman's Woodlands and Wildlife Committee. And today we're going to talk about Mud Month. It's March, which is going to be Mud Month here at Eastman. When we first moved to Eastman a decade ago, April was Mud Month. But Mud Month keeps starting earlier and earlier and lasting longer. In recent years, it's been starting in mid-March and in some years even earlier. Many of Eastman's roads are unpaved. And during mud month, those unpaved roads become muddy with deep ruts. And driving on those muddy roads can be more difficult than driving on ice or unplowed snow. And vehicles can get stuck on those muddy ruts. And the mud month seems to be getting deeper. The mud during mud month seems to be getting deeper each year as well. So, what causes mud month and why is it happening earlier? Well, snow cover usually provides a certain amount of insulation for these unpaved roads. And climate change is playing a huge role. Winters in New England are beginning earlier and ending sooner. And recent winters have had less snow cover and more rain. Worse yet, we're seeing more multiple freeze thaw cycles and more rain on snow events. And that combination, less snow cover, more rain on snow events, and multiple freeze thaw cycles, are really critical factors in making Mud Month a nightmare. So, what's the science of Mud Month? Well, Mud Month comes about when the ground under the roads and trails thaws in the warmer weather. The warmer temperatures cause the surface to begin to thaw, and the thawing ground mixes with water from either rain or melting snow to produce a very muddy surface. The lower soil layers may still be frozen, though, and that causes the water to get trapped on top. And those still frozen deeper layers act like a barrier, so the water actually can't drain. So, again, lack of snow cover is a major factor. Snow is actually a very great insulator. When the first snow cover is delayed, moisture moves deeper. And with early snow cover, the ground might just freeze for a couple feet down. But without that early snow cover, the ground may freeze down to about 4 feet. In fact, in some cases, up to depths of 5 to 6 feet have occurred in some recent years. And a wet fall with lots of rain will accentuate the amount of ground becoming frozen beneath the surface. And when the warm weather returns, that ground starts to thaw from the top down. But that frozen layer down deep acts like a giant umbrella, trapping the moisture above it. So again, the effects of mud month are not equal. Mud month can linger longer on shady northern slopes, and its distribution is often patchy because of the uneven roads and the terrain being uneven and the shady areas. So, for example, on Longwood Drive, where I live, there may be stretches that are very muddy, separated by relatively dry spots. And the drainage of water by gravity may make roads at the bottom of the hills muddier than near the tops. And interestingly, heavy rain can actually shorten the mud season because it helps the ground thaw more quickly. Kind of interesting. Rain can actually help out dry out the muddy roads. Okay, here's the culprit, climate change. This graph is showing the temperatures in New Hampshire going back to 1895 up to the present. And you can see it's getting a whole lot warmer here in New Hampshire. New England actually is among the fastest warming regions in the entire world, not just in the United States. The temperatures in New England have climbed 4.5 degrees between 1900 and 2024. And the winter temperatures are rising twice as fast as during other seasons. And that's bringing significant losses in the snow cover. Between 1900 and 2025, the average annual temperatures in Massachusetts rose 5 degrees, but in winter, they increased 7.7 degrees. So you can see that the winter temp warming is becoming much more prominent. And over the last 5 years, temperatures in New England have risen faster than in any other 5 year period since 1900. And during that time, New England lost more days of snow on the ground than any 5 year period since 2000. In fact, in Massachusetts, there were 31 fewer days of snow on the ground, and those decreases were especially high in spring and fall. But here's New Hampshire. This is showing the percentage of snow cover. And you can see that over the last 15 years, there's been a substantial drop in snow cover here in New Hampshire. New Hampshire has actually lost 21 days of snow cover and 18 nights when the temperature drops below freezing over the past 100 years. And over the last 5 years, we said New England has lost more days with snow on the ground than at any 5 year period since 2000. Over the last 5 years, the drop in snow cover in New Hampshire has been about 5%. So it's been substantial. So again, this image shows the deep ruts in the mud on the surface of the unpaved roads that we see here in Eastman. And in Eastman, we actually put limits on the weight of vehicles that can use our roads during mud month. This is showing a photo of a mail delivery truck stuck in the mud on a road in Vermont during mud month. Here at Eastman, we put 6-ton limits on our roads during mud month, and we restrict vehicles from parking on the roads. So we hopefully don't see many trucks trying to navigate our muddy roads in mud month. Eastman's maintenance gets real busy addressing mud month season. The road graders are out smoothing out the mud to minimize the deep ruts, and they usually also spread some gravel on top. And timing is important. Actually, when the temperature goes down, the roads firm up a bit, and it's easier to iron them out rather than when they're real wet and sloppy. So grading at night often makes a lot of sense, and often you'll hear the graders out at nighttime. Hiking during mud season, our natural inclination is when we're confronted with a puddle or a muddy area is to walk around it. And that's actually counterproductive. It leads to widening of the trail and damage to the surrounding vegetation, and they're all important root systems leading to more erosion. So the best strategy when you're out hiking on a trail is to walk through the wet or muddy area rather than around it. So you need to know the trail conditions and make sure you have proper footwear before you begin your hike. That proper footwear may include waders or gaiters. And better yet, avoid those trails while they're so muddy. Bikes and other vehicles can leave deep ruts that persist once the mud is dried. And we sometimes have to close some of our trails to avoid further damage. So driving during mud month can be a nightmare. Here's a video showing driving down a muddy road in Vermont during mud season. And at Eastman, many of our roads look just like this during mud month. So you can see this motor vehicle rocking side to side as the tires hit those deep ruts. There you see a puddle. Pretty nasty, and this can happen right here at Eastman. So there are some tips on driving during mud season. First of all, drive slowly. You're much less likely to slide around if you're taking it easy. Use a lower gear if necessary. Never stomp on the gas pedal. If you're losing traction, either take your foot off the gas pedal if you're going downhill, or keep it steady if you're going uphill. And if you have a rear-wheel drive vehicle, as opposed to four-wheel drive, all-wheel drive, or front-wheel drive, put some weight in the back of your vehicle, right over the axle. Keep something deep in your trunk or pickup bed. And things like rocks, gravel, or firewood are especially good for weight because you might be able to use those materials in the event that you do get stuck. And you have to also be aware of obstacles like rocks that previously been hidden, which now appear once those ruts occur in the deep mud. So again, more tips on driving during mud season. Stay out of the ruts if possible. Drive so your tires ride on the high areas of the road rather than in the ruts, but that's not always possible because our roads are so narrow that often the ruts are almost continuous across the muddy roads. Don't ride the brakes. If you're going downhill, shift to a lower gear or just go slow. And again, don't stomp on the brake pedal to stop. Pump it slowly. Or if you have ABS, anti-lock braking system, let the ABS system take over. And if you start the slide, turn your wheels in the direction of the slide, just like you would if you were driving on ice. And start pumping the brakes or let the ABS take over. And if you can't stop or are heading off the road, turn into the slide and turn the car as gently as possible away from the edge. Sudden turns can actually tip the car over. If you do get stuck in the mud, don't panic. Put your vehicle in park, calm down, get out of the vehicle and look around, survey the lay of the land, and figure out the easiest way to get out of there. You might turn your wheels very slightly and see if you can back up. You might make a gravel path for your tires. Grab some rocks, branches, small logs, gravel, or your floor mats and make a path for your tires. Get those things as close to the tread of the tires as possible. If you have a rear wheel drive, you want to focus on the rear tires. And don't create too much height for the wheels to go over. Get back in your car and go slowly forward. If the tires start to spin, try reverse alternating with forward, rocking the car back and forth until your tires hopefully will grab. And you might need to try some more sticks or rocks beneath the tires again and again. Use your cell phone to call for help as a last resort. If you have no cell phone or phone service, try to walk to the nearest property to call for help. Try your towing service first, but some of those towing services won't respond if you're more than a certain distance from a paved road. Otherwise, try Eastman Security. There's the phone number. And they won't be able to tow you, but they might be able to give you some good advice. And after you've driven in the mud, remember that mud can be corrosive and cause rust to your vehicle's underside. So you want to, after you've driven in the mud, make sure you wash off that mud. What about your pets? You probably need to take your pet out during Mud Month. The Animal Humane Society actually has some tips for keeping your dog and home clean during mud season. So here are those tips. When you're choosing furniture, choose ones that have fabrics that are pre-treated against staining, maybe also ones that are waterproof. Use some pet-friendly coverings for your furniture. There are lots of them out there, including ones that are waterproof. Vacuum regularly and schedule a professional cleaning. Keep your tools for paw cleaning handy within reach. So things like towels and wipes. Keep the fur between your dog's paw pads trimmed. Good idea is when your pet, usually your dog, comes back in, have them stand on a mat of some sort while you do your cleaning. Sometimes the best way to keep them there is to train them to wait for a treat before they leave that pad at the entrance to your house. And consider a pair of dog boots. Most important, consider choosing another less muddy area to take your dog for a walk or allow them to play. So why don't we just pave all our roads? We often get asked that question. Well, Eastman's original design favored unpaved roads because they're much more wildlife friendly. Paved roads also encourage vehicles to drive faster. And it's expensive to pave and maintain paved roads. And remember that paved roads still get frost heaves and potholes related to some of those same factors that we said create mud month. And paving roads also leads to water runoff that can damage adjacent property and structures. So maybe selective paving of parts of roads that are most vulnerable to mud month might be an option. So again, Mud Month, you live in Eastman, you're going to experience Mud Month. Anticipate it and know how to manage Mud Month. And don't forget to look out for your neighbors who can't get out because of the mud that's on the roads. And we're still waiting for all those Amazon drones that promise to deliver us groceries so we don't have to drive in the mud. So that's Mud Month. You're going to experience it here at Eastman. Uh, Try to make the most of it.